Hey, I'm Jimmy. Today we're not doing a country. Today we're doing a family business, the kind where the family reunion has an exit strategy. What if you were born into a Mexican cartel? Your first breath happens in the 1980s, inside a sprawling private estate. Your father runs the operation, so technically you want for nothing, except a normal childhood, but we'll get to that. Dad's schedule is mostly meetings, shipments, occasional executions, and a running game of hide and seek with the federal police. Mom isn't exactly the warm cookie baking type either, and home isn't quiet. Gunfire outside is just weather. Sometimes you catch a glimpse of your father handling someone. You don't ask questions, you learn not to. Jimmy, rough start. Jimmy's not wrong. You survive toddlerhood, and by 5, you're getting private tutors instead of public school. Reading, writing, the basics. One day, one of those tutors tries to kidnap you. Your father's men handle it fast. Turns out the tutor's own kids were being held hostage by a rival group, forced into it. Didn't matter. In this world, family means your family. Everyone else is leverage, not a person. By 10, your father hands you a dog, supposedly to teach you responsibility, mostly so you're not completely alone. And combat training starts the same year. In this line of work, guns are for enemies, fists are for everyday problems, so you learn to throw a real punch early. Mornings are dog walks, afternoons are sparring, in between actual kidnapping and assassination attempts, several of which you survive purely because your dog noticed the threat before anyone human did. That dog becomes your only real friend in a house full of armed adults. At 15, it's time to learn the family trade for real. You start sitting in on meetings, escorting shipments, and, this part's not small, counting cash. Not a few bills. 6, 7 figures in a single sitting, casually. In exchange, you get the lifestyle everyone assumes comes with this life. Designer clothes, sports cars, parties that never end. You also start weapons training, and I mean all of them. Assault rifles, submachine guns, shotguns, explosives, even sniper rifles. Cartels have a particular fondness for 50 caliber rifles because they can punch through an engine block or bring down a helicopter. And most of this hardware is trafficked in gold-plated weapons, rocket launchers, armored vehicles, even homemade tanks built in cartel workshops. At this point, your side of the fight is arguably better equipped than actual law enforcement. The only thing keeping you human through all of this is your dog, and eventually a second one joins. So at least your best friend isn't lonely while you're out managing a small war economy. You survived to 18. Now you're legally an adult, which mostly means the police finally know your name. Doesn't matter much. Armed guards surround the property like a small private army. You take over more of your father's responsibilities. Production oversight, discipline within the ranks, vetting new recruits, and this isn't a job with an application form. The streets supply endless recruits, kids with nothing, no family, no future, and the organization moves them up slowly. Lookout, then courier, then worse. Corrupt soldiers and police get bought outright, sometimes for 15 or 20 times their salary because they arrive pre-trained. And then there's forced recruitment, stopping a bus, grabbing migrants, putting a weapon in someone's hand and a stranger in front of them with one simple rule: kill them or you die instead. Whoever survives that moment is now permanently inside. Running isn't an option once your first kill is on record. Higher positions, the ones handling money and logistics, need a personal vouch. And if the person you vouch for steals or messes up, you're the one who pays for it. Training camps deep in the mountains exist purely to strip new recruits of hesitation, desensitizing them until killing doesn't register as wrong anymore. Total obedience, manufactured on purpose. You're the one managing this machine now. By 20, your father's demands only grow, which means less time with your only real friends. Then he hands you control of an entire territory, what's called a plaza. Cartels don't share cities, they divide them. Some regions control the entry points where product first crosses in. Others, nicknamed the Golden Triangle, are remote mountain regions covered in poppy and cannabis fields, hidden underground labs the government simply can't reach. And then there are the border cities, the exit points. Whoever controls those decides what actually crosses into the next country. Rival cartels constantly test these borders, and territorial wars are just part of doing business. You survived to 22, sleepless most nights from the sheer weight of running all of it. The only peace you get is time with your dog. One ordinary morning, mid-playtime, your father walks up, pulls two handguns from his waistband, hands you one, and says, "Shoot the dog, or I shoot you." This is an old, deliberate cartel tactic. Destroy someone's last piece of innocence, and what's left is a person who won't hesitate to kill anyone. You can't even raise the gun. How could you? That dog was the only light left in your entire life. Your father pulled the trigger before you could process the thought. After that, there's no friend left, and not much humanity either. You go back to work within days, because grief isn't really allowed here. By 25, you're bitter, drinking heavily, quietly furious at your father, running the most profitable period of the operation, drugs, weapons, and worst of all, human trafficking. Cartels turn everything into cash, including people. Some cartels go as far as spotting someone online, deciding they want them, and simply taking them, age or innocence never factoring into the decision. By this point, you've proven yourself enough that leadership is basically guaranteed, so your father arranges your marriage without asking you. Cartel wives are typically chosen from beauty pageants or rival families as a way to cement alliances. You marry the daughter of a rival cartel. At 30, it's time to take over money laundering, arguably the hardest part of the whole operation, because making the money was always the easy bit. Large cash deposits get flagged automatically, so hundreds of low-level operatives deposit amounts just under the reporting threshold, then withdraw days later. Cash cleaned, no alarms triggered. Cash-heavy front businesses help too. Parking lots, taxi stands, casinos, sometimes issuing tickets to customers who never existed. So the losses absorb dirty money, and it comes out the other side as legitimate nightly revenue. Real estate and art serve the same purpose. A painting's value is whatever you decide it is. Somewhere in all this, you actually fall for your wife, realizing she never chose this life either, any more than you did. At 32, your father announces his retirement, though nobody really retires from this. Leadership passes to you. The night you celebrate, your own house gets raided. Two rival cartels join forces against you. You grab a weapon and go out fighting, only to find your father already dead among the gunmen. Knowing the fight is lost, you and your wife run, first to a backup safe house, then realizing the entire area is surrounded toward the coast, planning to disappear entirely by submarine with whatever cash you can carry. The route to the port gets cut off. You and your wife dive into the forest instead, hiding in an old wooden cabin, counting bullets, listening to footsteps outside. Through the window, you watch several dogs attack the men hunting you. One slips into the cabin, and the second it sees you, its tail starts wagging. You recognize it instantly, the offspring of your childhood dog, the one who used to wander into your yard. The others outside, fighting for you, are its siblings, your old friend's family, protecting you without knowing why, just recognizing someone it once trusted. You survive the night. By morning, your in-laws' men have cleared the area, and you make it to the port, leaving the country with your wife, a small fortune in cash, and a dog carrying your best friend's bloodline. The fallout back home is loud: arrests, manhunts, a warrant with your name on it. But you're never caught. Occasionally, your face turns up blurred in a photo somewhere. Occasionally, the police raid a house you left years ago. The rumors keep growing. Nobody ever finds the truth. The truth is quieter than any of it. Somewhere far from all of that, you're just living, with the woman you eventually fell in love with, and the living memory of the one real friend this whole life ever gave you. If this made you think, subscribe, because next time we're imagining a life about as far from this one as it gets.